Hey, argumentation scholars, this is Professor Denham here. This is a video announcement and a video explaining the current assignment that we have due for this coming Sunday, the 26th. This is the Toulmin model argument. Um, it was initially going to be due on the 19th, and then I postponed that to the 26th. I let you know that through an announcement just the other day or last week. Anyhow, hope you're doing well. I shuffled a few things around the course schedule. I'll be posting a slightly revised course schedule in the next day or so, just so you can see where we're at. Nevertheless, I'll always keep you in the loop about when things are due and if things ever change. So what we got going on right now is we're in technically we're in week 5. At this point, you should have read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 5. And let's see. Those are all available. All those PowerPoints, all the PowerPoints with the lecture videos are all available for chapters 1, 2, 3, and 5. So make sure you've already done all the readings for those. You've looked at the PowerPoints. You've watched the videos. And that obviously is preparing you for understanding this course, understanding the nature of argumentation, specifically the Toulmin model. And then, of course, it's going to help you and prepare you for completing this assignment. Now, this assignment, I have very detailed instructions, but the actual work that you're doing is not going to be very extensive work. The total amount of work that you're doing will probably occupy no more than a page. And it's not like you're writing an essay or a paragraph. I mean, it's not like you're writing an essay or a paper, but you're demonstrating your understanding of how these things work together, right? Kind of like the construction metaphor, building a metaphor, like food metaphor. Like there's so much work that goes into, let's say, making a really good food item, like making something that's really tasty. But when it's all done, it doesn't look like much, right? You just look at like one little basic, let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, like a quesadilla. I like to make really nice quesadillas. Like I just, chicken and arugula and cheese and different sauces and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really methodical with how I do it. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of steps, right? And I have a lot of experience with cooking. But at the end of it, all you see is this like quesadilla, and you eat it. You can eat the whole thing in like a few seconds. Sort of similarly to that, you have this assignment, which is there's not a whole lot of actual writing, but your writing will demonstrate your understanding of what you've been reading in this textbook. And so I provided for you a student sample that is what I recommend is use this student sample. So what you're doing is you're going to provide 2 examples of claims using the Toulmin model, where you have a claim where you're making an assertion like a factual claim, or you're making an argument like a policy claim where you're saying you should or shouldn't do something. Anytime you hear the word should, generally that's falling under the category of a policy claim. And when we talk about policy claims, we're not talking about like policies, like government policies or school policies. All that we mean by a policy claim is that you're suggesting that a specific course of action should or should not take place. Hey, you shouldn't eat that. Hey, you should go vote. Hey, you should do this, right? You shouldn't do this. So, after reading through chapters 3 and 5, you have a pretty good understanding of the way arguments work. So now that you understand how all these components work together, you're demonstrating your understanding of that by providing 2 claims. Easier said than done. So if it were me, I would do it on food, and I would make a claim such as like an assertion: I burnt the chicken using the copper pan because I was cooking like I had a cast iron skillet. So that's a claim. And within that, the grounds are included in that. Because anytime you hear the word because within the claim, usually it's like the claim is I burnt the chicken using the copper pan. That's an assertion. It's a factual claim. It's something I did. The grounds are, the word because I was cooking like I had a cast iron skillet. That's the evidence, right? That's the reason why the grounds are the reason, right? The reason why it was burnt is because I was cooking like I had a cast iron skillet. Now, embedded within that, recall your understanding of warrant. I've explained the nature of warrants in a couple videos. It's all throughout the textbook. The warrant is not going to be familiar to you unless you're really familiar with cooking. And by the way, I'm referencing the explanation of this assignment in Canvas. So where it says applying the Toulmin model, I'm referencing that right now. So you should be following along looking at that. So if you're familiar with those kinds of pans, the warrant's obvious. Copper conducts heat a lot faster than a cast iron skillet. So the way I cook with a copper pan should be different than the way I cook with a cast iron pan. A cast iron pan, it takes longer to heat up. The cooking process is just different. So anyways, the point is not that we're learning all about food. The point is I'm making an argument using the Toulmin model, and there's an example for it. But what you want to do is deconstruct. The best way to do this is to deconstruct the whole process, where you provide the claim, and then the grounds, and then an explanation, and then the warrant, and you're having multiple parts to each one, and then of course include one of the triads. One of the either a qualifier, backing, or rebuttal. So it might be helpful to review those things within the chapters and the PowerPoints, right? Look at the notes that you've been taking. What I've always recommended to do is to take notes as you're reading the textbook, as you're reading through the PowerPoint, watching the PowerPoint, as you're listening to my lecture video, take notes on that. So go into your notes and review the parts that deal with warrant. And the first triad is claim, grounds, and warrant, and the second triad is the qualifier, backing, and rebuttal. And now you're putting it all together. So the format that seemed to work really, really well for students is in the sample that I provided for you. So go ahead and look at that sample right now. You'll see where it just says applying Toulmin model student sample. It's in the same module as this assignment. You'll see a PDF document. So this student chose a topic of dental hygiene. I think this particular student was either her major was something related to dental hygiene. So she just chose something that she knows really well. So she did a factual claim and a policy claim, and you can see how she broke it down. She has the claim. You don't necessarily have to do it this way, but my advice to you is do it this way. Unless you're really familiar with argumentation and you're really familiar with the Toulmin model, you can essentially you can fulfill this assignment by providing a longer, maybe a short paragraph where within that paragraph or within a few sentences, you have the claim, you have the grounds, and somehow you incorporate the warrant into it, and somehow incorporate the qualifier into it as well, as you've seen in different examples within the textbook. But what I recommend to you, do it this way. Kind of have it deconstructed, because this is also helping you this is a good setup to one of the next major assignments, which is the factual argument assignment. That's another one that I'll postpone. You'll see that it's due on the 26th. It won't be due on the 26th, but I'll have an update for that in the next day or so. I'll have the assignment document and a video of me explaining the assignment as well. So look at this student sample where she did a factual claim and a policy claim. So she has the claim: drinking coffee can be a cause of staining teeth, making your smile appear much duller and yellow. So that's an assertion. That's either true or false, right? She's claiming that the assumption is that it's true. Drinking coffee stains your teeth, making your smile look duller and yellow. Why? What's the reason? The grounds, right? You have to have the grounds. You have a claim and then you have the grounds. Because, and then she provides the grounds. A study shows that coffee stains your teeth thanks to a class of molecules called tannins, which are plant-based compounds that make it easier for the other compounds found in your coffee to stick to your teeth. Claim, grounds, and then the warrant. Individuals do not want to have a yellow, dull smile. Now, for this student sample, I would say the warrant should be elaborated on in a bit more detail. Right? Drinking coffee stains your teeth because the molecules called tannin. I'm not familiar with coffee and all that kind of stuff, but the tannins are the things that make the teeth. The tannins are the things that make the teeth turn yellow and brown, and so on and so forth. So the warrant is people don't want to have a yellow, dull smile. And then the qualifier is drinking coffee is the most significant cause, although perhaps not the only cause of a dull yellow smile. In other words, she's qualifying her claim, meaning there could be other things that cause staining. Um, so that's the factual claim, and then she deconstructs each one: claim, grounds, warrant, qualifier, and then the policy claim. Her claim, she's saying someone should not do something. She's saying you should purchase Colgate's new Optic White toothpaste products for a brighter smile. Why? Right? The question is why, and then here's the reason. The reason is the grounds. Because, right, a study shows that teeth are 50% whiter after using the product for a specified period of time. The warrant, people want whiter and brighter teeth. Like, why would I do this? Well, like the warrant, like the thing that it makes the connection. People want white teeth and brighter teeth. That's the basis for why there's so many different products that you can buy for whitening your teeth. So obviously, some people want whiter and brighter teeth. And then the backing is like further enhancing the argument, right? Whiter teeth and brighter smiles help people become more noticeable, therefore more dates, getting hired in a new job, or overall more self-confidence. Um, and that's her explanation of it. Like, she didn't provide a source citation for this. This is not a research assignment, but this whole assignment is basically you, the student, demonstrating how you understand all these things to fit together. Like a recipe, if you're writing up a recipe for how to cook something, you need to explain how all the things work together, right? If it's like baking, I don't know much about baking, but if it's baking, you would be like writing the recipe and then you're explaining why you would use baking soda or baking powder or one not the other, and salt and all that kind of stuff. Like, why, like, how do these things like mix together and work together to make cookies, to make muffins, or to make a cake? Or if it's like a building metaphor, if you're more like into the building metaphors or construction metaphors, you're saying here's how you build a bird cage, and you have nails and or pieces of wood, not a bird cage, a chicken coop. You would have like wood and nails and screws and hinges, and you're explaining how everything works individually and how everything works together. Again, those metaphors don't exactly fit into what you're doing here, but basically you're demonstrating your understanding of how all these things work together. So like I said, choose a topic you're familiar with. I recommend choosing a topic you're familiar with. Um, and think about like the kinds of conversations that you have with people. Frequently I'm around people and I hear people bring things up. They make assertions, they make policy claims, and maybe they're not aware of what they're doing. But I frequently notice, like, okay, there's no backing for that. There's no warrant for that. There's no grounds for that. And I'm not the person who calls people out and say like, oh, did you know you didn't have any grounds for that claim that you made? I don't say that, but maybe you can, and see what happens. But anyhow, that's the assignment. I hope you can have somewhat like fun with this assignment. And the actual, like I said, the actual work you're doing is not like a ton. Like, if you see this student's work, it's not a ton of typing, not a ton of writing, but her work demonstrates that she understands how each thing works. The claim, the grounds, the warrant, the qualifier for the factual claim, and then claim, grounds, warrant, and backing for the policy claim. Um, yeah, so obviously she knows what she's talking about. Like, her work demonstrated her understanding of how everything works together, and that's that. And that was really detailed and thorough, but I want to make sure that you understand this assignment, because sometimes students don't understand how these things work together. So anyhow, I hope you're all doing well, and that is that. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.